Good morning.
I've just seen one.
On site. I'm not expecting that.
Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning. Can anybody hear me?
Just mine sitting on the desk. You don't.
Good morning.
Nobody knows what I'm doing.
Is that Mary?
That's Sandy.
Sandy?
Yes.
I don't think anybody in the room can hear us.
I don't think so either.
What?
President's comments.
No, I'm going to do it anyway.
Maybe they've got us muted.
Hey, Randy.
Okay, we're ready.
Good morning, Dwayne.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to call to order the special meeting for August 26th at 9:31 a.m. here in Marks Hall. Russell, would you I'll call it order. Russell, would you give the invocation and the pledge, please? Pledge.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that you bless us with your love and be with us as we conduct this meeting for our park here. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of
to the
America,
republic for which
and
it
to the
stands,
republic for which
one
it stands,
nation, under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Lori, are you with us?
I am, but I'm not sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Would you please take
Ooh, okay. All right. Mary Chandler,
excused?
Lori Dalton here, Kathy Gregory.
Here in the hall.
Okay. Todd Lombardi,
Present in hall.
Russell McAllister,
Here and in the hall.
Louis Nichols,
Present in the hall.
Pete Price,
Absent.
Sandy Simonich,
Here, Zoom.
and Dwayne Trotter.
Present and in the hall.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The new business for today is to interview for the park manager position. I'd like to introduce Julia Kane, who is one of our applicants. What I'd like to do is go ahead and start off with my questions. Then again, if we have any duplicates, please go ahead and just erase those or not ask them unless you need further clarification. The first question I had is, in reviewing your resume, the last job that you had on there was dated July 2021. Do you have a present job, or did I miss something?
No, I was with Bowman George till March 2022. I have a sister that lives in Lake Placid. I'm the only other family member that lives in Florida, and she broke her.
Is that mic on?
I think it is on.
There you go.
Okay, just make it closer. She fell and broke her ankle very badly. So she really had a hard time getting around and lives by herself. So I went up and stayed with her for 2 months until she got that cast off and she was able to walk on her own and be able to do that. But being everybody else lives out of state was my job.
Okay. In your last position, can you give me examples of your leadership skills while you was working as a park manager with Icon Management, I think it was?
Yes, when I was Icon, it was an on-site position at the Esplanade community over in Lakewood Ranch. It was a great job. I enjoyed it very much. All of the homeowners were able to walk in and see me because I was on site. So a lot of the times they didn't call, they just came to the office if they needed anything. Their monthly inspections were required by the board of directors. And I went through the entire facility once a month, and any thing that was out of place, those homeowners would get a letter. And sometimes it was simple stuff. All of the mailboxes were white in that community because we get so much rain here. A lot of the times it would have like black mold on the sides and it didn't look very good. And it would only take some Fantastic or something and a wipe off. So some people just got noticed like that, clean your mailbox, that kind of thing. Most of the people that live there, no issues at all. So I think that violation letters weren't huge, but if there was anything askew, they were sent. And that's what the board wanted. They wanted everything to continue to look good and be in good condition. And it does help keep the property values up if everybody's home looks good, because that's what everybody wants to see.
I heard a lot of the detail on sending out letters for residents that are not abiding by the rules and regulations, but how did your leadership skills work into that? What else did you do for leadership? Did you have a staff of X amount of people or?
We had an additional maintenance person, but I was pretty much the only one that was on site between myself and the maintenance person who would take care of some things. The pools that were there, that were the community pools, that was all on me, where I would contract with a particular vendor to come and clean the pool monthly. I had Brightview who did all of the lawn maintenance because the homeowners didn't do it. They went and mowed everybody's lawns, that kind of thing. Trimmed hedges. They did a very good job. Quite honestly, I had them in a few different communities that I worked for. And that's mainly what happened. I do have a finance degree from Florida State, so I work with the boards a lot with doing budgets. I'd always have a reserve study updated every 3 years. So that way, if prices went up on roofing or whatever, we could keep up with that by checking that every few years to make sure we were taking the correct amount of money to be able to pay for roofs or painting the buildings or whatever maintenance we had. I never wanted to be in a situation where we had to send a letter to the homeowners and say, gee, everybody has to chip in this amount because we didn't save enough. That was never anything that I had to do. And with careful planning, shouldn't have to do that.
How many units did you have there with that?
In that community, oh gosh, I think there were maybe 1,000 units.
Okay, we have, what is it, 1,274, 9 homes here.
76,
So we have about 2,500 people during season. Can you explain your how you had working relationships with those residents?
Certainly. I was on site, so that made it very, very nice because anybody that wanted to speak with me, I was there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30 and available. So that was really key. And I thought well, I know the homeowners liked having the accessibility and be able to just walk in and talk to me anytime they needed to.
Okay. Can you tell me what Florida statutes authorize park and recreations to exist?
Off the top of my head, no, I can't tell you.
And then can you tell me what charter that Trailer States Park and Recreation is under the state of Florida?
I think I brought that with me. No, I printed your 3 pages from your website, but that wasn't in here.
Okay, have you researched our charter since the advertisement of the position?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Your resume also identified monthly inspections with Vanguard Management.
Yes.
Can you explain how your ability to accomplish those inspections, and was it any different from Icon?
It was very similar, but it was a completely different job. That was a portfolio CAM. So I had condominiums in St. Pete, HOAs in Tampa and Riverview. I was driving a lot because I went to all of those. I lived in Sarasota. I drove up to Tampa every day and went from there. The 2 owners of the company, it was privately owned, Bob and Janet Moyer, lovely people. They hired another manager to manage all of the CAMs, Benita Vandal. And I really liked them. So I liked them so much that I worked there for 3 years. And for 3 years, I drove from Sarasota to Tampa to go to that office because everybody was so kind. After 3 years, I was like, okay, I am putting so many miles on my car. Maybe I should stop that. But they were really lovely people to work with.
Can you tell me what computer knowledge you have?
Sure. I can do most anything on my computer. I mean, of course, emails and those kinds of things, but I access websites. I go online and take classes. I just finished one recently that was about real estate. I had a week off after I left my sister, so might as well put something in my mind and learn something. And that's what I did.
And then can you give me examples of your ability to manage and oversee the operations from those other 2, Icon and Vanguard?
Sure.
And then if you can, tell me some of the improvements that you made at both positions.
Well, I had one property in Riverview. It was absolutely beautiful. I will tell you, I did have a challenge there. There was one individual, because it's a mixed race community, and this one individual was former military, and he happened to not like people of color. Jumped on a lady's car when she's driving down the street, that kind of thing. So I went to his house because the lady called me. So I drove to the community, went to his house, asked him if he could come outside and we could take a walk. We had a nice long walk. I think I was with him about 45 minutes. And by the time at the end of the walk, he said, I won't do that again, I promise. So it, you know, I didn't chastise him at all. I was just trying to explain how it made other people feel in the community. And it worked.
Were there any other administrative improvements that you did?
Not really, quite honestly, that it had been managed by Vanguard for many years. I was with the same company and just the manager left for, I don't know why, but they hired me and that became one of my properties.
Can you also give me examples on your ability to work independently?
Absolutely. I had a law firm in Massachusetts and I ran the law firm personally. I was very hands-on. And I had other positions where I was hands-on as well, but I did that for many years. I also worked for First American Title for several years, and I was a title attorney for them. And I basically went through most of my work were other attorneys that would call and they would have title issues or undischarged mortgages or different things that come up on title. And I would work with them to get any title issues cleared away.
So it was a title law firm that you were in Massachusetts?
Yes.
And can you give me examples of your ability to analyze and prepare financial statements?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I do have a bachelor's degree in finance. And I'm actually pretty good at finances, and I can review a budget very carefully. As I said, I'm always very careful about reserves because no one wants a special assessment, and I wouldn't want one either. So I'm always very, very careful about those and make sure that if roofing prices go up, maybe I have one of the vendors come out and give me a new bid because maybe we're not collecting the correct amount of money right now. So a lot of the times those are a working in process depending on what's going on with the economy. And you have to pay attention to all of that so you have the right amount of money when the time comes.
Great. Do you have any experience in grant writing?
Not really,
Okay.
being perfectly honest.
And then my last question, you've already responded to, so I'll skip that. That was the last of my questions. Louis, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I only have one question, which actually barely addressed in your other statements, but I'd like to know about your comfort level and experience dealing one-on-one with residents when you have disagreements or conflicts. And you gave one example. Is that something that you have other experience in, or?
Well, of course,
Mhm.
because sometimes people aren't happy. They homeowners, maybe I send somebody a letter about something that needs to be upgraded on their property and they're not happy about that. And they would come in and see me because I was on site and we would just review everything. A lot of the times people would just call and I would say, what's a good time? And I'd go to their house and we would stand in the front yard or whatever and talk everything through. So I like to do things hands-on. And if there is any kind of issue, I prefer talking to someone face-to-face rather than doing the easy thing and just picking up the phone and calling them, because you miss that personal connection that way. And how much does it take if you're already in the community to drive over to someone's house and speak with them person to person? Or if they want to come to the office, speak to them in the office. But I always think that goes much better than just talking to somebody on the phone. You don't get to see their facial expression, you don't really get to know them. I think it's a better way to go.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Russell?
Do you have any type of district background other than I see your management and everything and all that, but have you ever worked with with the districts of any sort,
Um,
even through your
That'd be-
experience?
Special district.
Yeah, special districts.
I'm not sure what you mean, to be honest with
Okay, we're a Park and Recs district, special
Okay,
district,
okay.
so a lot of it pertains to different types of law and everything. And so you've had law experience. Is there any other experience you've had with just this particular type of special district?
Not really. Quite honestly, I mostly dealt with condominiums and HOAs through my management experience. Some of them were on site, some of them were portfolio, but mostly HOAs and condominiums.
Where did you get your community? Oh, I see. Where'd you get your community management license and everything
In Florida.
in Florida? That's it for me.
Is it still active?
Yeah.
When does it
Yes.
expire?
September 2022. And they already sent me the booklet that I need to do their test. They give you a little test to do and you have to bubble everything in and send it back. I'm just about finished with them and I will go ahead and send it off with, I think it's $297 or something like that.
Okay. Anything else?
That's good for me.
Todd?
Let me know what you know about TE, trailer states here.
Well, I read everything that was online.
Read all the policies, procedures, all that stuff, all the.
Well, not
charter.
everything was online, but what I could find, I read through.
Okay.
And I am sure I need to look at your documents, all of your documents.
Okay.
At your budgets, everything. I mean, when I was in the HOA thing, we always read the declaration and read the bylaws and went through the financial statement. Because you have to familiarize yourself with the community. And I know that I found in here that you will be reviewing your budget for the next 2 years. So that's coming up. Moving forward, that's kind of how I work. But I will get all of the documents and read everything. I wasn't able to.
Can you tell me a difference between a Parks and Recreation and an HOA?
Well, they're not that dissimilar. Everybody has a home. There are rules and regulations to upkeep your home. I know here if a new trailer comes in, you want it to be skirted, and that's most parks are like that. Look so much cleaner and neater that way. But a lot of it is fairly similar.
I guess that's all I got.
Great. Thank you. Kathy?
Good morning. Describe a specific time when you saw a problem and took the initiative to correct it.
Well, I went through the one case of the homeowner that was jumping on people's cars and different things like that. So that was one example of how I would handle it. And it was going to that person's house and speaking to them in person, and it worked. Didn't do it anymore. So that was one. I had another community that was a condominium community in Pinellas County there. And we had some issues there. There were homeowners that were concerned because before I got there, they hadn't done a reserve study for quite some time. And the homeowners would have to put on a new roof when that came due. And they were worried about, is the money there, that kind of thing. I went through the budget and there were reserves, but I did have 2 or 3 different roofers come out and give me estimates for a re-roof. So that way I would be able to direct the board, okay, here are 3 estimates of what a new roof would cost when the time comes. And it probably will be more because we're talking about something that would be re-roofed in the future. But we should at least be saving X in reserves every month. So that way we have the funds when the time comes. That's the only way that you can do that. I wouldn't know. I don't have the expertise to estimate what a re-roof is going to cost. So I have to rely on roofing companies to give me those bids, and that way I can share them with the board. And my rule is always get 3, no matter what, always get 3. You want a 4th, I could do that, but I always get at least 3. So that way you have something to compare it to. Maybe this one price is crazy compared to the other 2, and you can just bump that one out.
So as a follow-up, so because of what you did the board adopt that? You were able to complete the project?
I always completed every project that we, and while the project was ongoing, I was someone that at the property often so that I can check on the contractors. They would know I'm there and they would stay on it because they expected me to show up because that's what I do. And make sure that they're being neat. If they're re-roofing, are they just willy-nilly throwing the shingles off and they're all over somebody's yard and they're not stacking them nicely? Those are all things that I look at because who wants shingles flown all over their yard? Nobody wants that. So you have to let your contractors know what your expectation is and then go on site, make sure they're doing it. Because if you're not there, maybe they start throwing shingles again.
Could you please give a specific example when you had to think on your feet to solve a problem? Describe the situation and how did you handle it?
Well, I already told you about the guy that jumped on the lady's car. So that was one example that I took care of that way. I had, wasn't a big issue, but I had at the condominium that was over in Pinellas County. There were some instances where the board was at meeting, but they weren't together. And that's a little tough when you're at a meeting and you have homeowners there and 2 board members that aren't in sync. And you have to, you know, kind of direct everybody and try to get everybody on the same page because you don't want conflict at a board meeting. You want everything to be copacetic, and sometimes you just need to talk through it.
Can you give a few more details about that?
Well, in that particular one, the issue was about the roofs. And they did need to get a roof soon. I think that they were asphalt shingles and they were probably at year 18. And in Florida, that's about all you get if, you know, you're out in the hot sun, and that's about all you get. So you really need to know in advance. I mean, I didn't manage them very long before I had learned that we were coming up on year 18. I think I was with them a year. So I didn't have the ability to go back and try to fix reserves. They had been collecting reserves, but not enough. So that was maybe something that I was able to assist with. They were probably going to need a small loan in order to make that work because the roof was at its life. I mean, that's all you get. So we did contact a couple of different banks and got some quotes and interest rates and that kind of thing. So that way there might be a special assessment, but if we get a loan and it's a 20-year loan, something like that for the roof, it does keep those down and be able to make payments rather than going to your community saying, okay, everybody owes 5,000 or whatever it is. Nobody wants to hear that. And there are ways, even if you step in like I did at the last minute, and now the roofs are at their life and they weren't saving enough. That's one way to help with that. Take special assessment.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandy? Can you hear us? Sandy, if you're there, you need to unmute and go ahead with your questions.
Am I?
There
Okay.
you go.
Good
There you
morning.
go.
I was wondering, do you have experience, or what experience do you have with the clubs, our exercise programs, the different extracurricular activities that we do in the park?
I am unaware of what your activities are right now. I have not looked into that. But when I'm here, I will be looking into it and seeing what your activities are. And I would support that and look for new activities maybe. And I did pass the
Were you-
shuffleboard. I know you have that. That was kind of neat. But I'm not sure what other activities you offer right now. I haven't driven through the park other than to come here.
Thank you. And the other thing I was wondering about is what agencies have you had contact with that help since all of us are over 55, we have special needs and we sometimes have to go to different agencies to do these things. Have you had any contact with those?
Can you give me more information about what you're looking for?
Well, sometimes when we are people that are over 55, they have special needs in their homes and things that we need to compensate for. So we have to go out and find agencies that will help us.
Okay. Yes, I can certainly do that. I wasn't sure. And just so you know, I'm 61, so I'm in that age group too.
Have you ever had to do this before, to reach out to some agency to help?
Only in very specific cases. I did have somebody that was in a wheelchair and unfortunately she lived alone. So I did reach out and ask that I forgot what company it was, but I asked them to do wellness checks on her at least once a week. And that way I knew at least somebody was going to her house and checking on her. And there was a neighbor that lived next door who actually did her grocery shopping for her. So she got help from the community too. But the wellness check let me know, and I would always get follow-up email after the wellness check, somebody that telling me they had been there, done that. This is what was going on with that particular person.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, Lori?
Yeah. Hi, Julia. Got a question. When we talked about computers, what software are you familiar with?
Boy, I had different websites at Vanguard. They had different systems for budgeting and different things. Icon had several different websites and different things for other issues, homeowners, maintenance, those kinds of things. So were several different websites that I would go to for any given community. And sometimes they were all different.
Okay. All right. Have you had, and if you have, can you explain any experience with government in your work life?
Really, with government, it was only looking at the rules, making sure that we were in compliance. If there were certain requirements that those were being met, all of those things would be on my calendar when they were due, that kind of thing. So I would know when I had to have maintenance issues taken care of or whatever was going.
Okay. And then lastly, are you familiar with, and can you explain, if yes, can you explain what the Sunshine Law is?
Not really. I know it has something to do with letting everybody know when you're having a meeting, not having any secret things, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Dwayne.
Great. Did I miss anybody on their questions, or does somebody have follow-up questions? Okay. I want to thank you very much for coming in for the interview.
You're welcome.
We will have our next board meeting on September 6th. We're going to try and make a decision by that date, and we'll go ahead and notify you from there.
All right, very good. Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too. Okay, I put on here a discussion for the applicants that we received. I want to kind of get a feel from the rest of the board members. But before I get into that, I sent everybody an email this morning regarding one other applicant that came through from ZipRecruiter. I hope everybody has had time to take a look at that. My question is now that you have hopefully reviewed the resume, would we like to go ahead and set up one more interview before we take a look at anything else?
Are you going to call a special meeting for this interview, or?
No, what I was hoping to do is, if the board liked what they're seeing in this resume or think that the person is qualified, is I was going to get in touch with that individual and set him up for an interview for the September 6th board meeting, so we can go ahead and make a decision whichever way we want to go. And that doesn't mean we're going to hire this individual. It doesn't mean that we're going to quit looking for other individuals, going in different directions for Florida special social districts, other condos, other websites, right on down the line.
Is this the only other resume you
Yeah,
have?
and I got this in way late last night, and I'm surprised that I got it because I have already stopped receiving resumes from ZipRecruiter.
That's where this one came from?
Yeah.
Dwayne, how do you get these? Is the person responding, or ZipRecruiter sends you his resume?
No.
They selected, or does
the
he?
resume and job announcement is posted on ZipRecruiter with the position description, the salary requirements, blah, blah, blah. And the individual themselves go and review that position or several positions, then they have to put in their
Okay.
own resumes and stuff.
Okay. So he
Dwayne?
consciously responded.
Yes, Laurie.
My only concern, and it doesn't mean don't do the interview, but the length of time in each place, it only seems to be a couple of years, and that just really concerned me. We're not looking for somebody for a couple of years, are we? We're looking for somebody long-term.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
I don't think you find that. I think the workplace is way different than it was 10 or 20 years ago. There's nothing that keeps people in one place because 401ks are portable. You renegotiate your vacation when you change jobs. I think the chances, yeah. Do we want someone for more than 2 years? Of course we do. And is it reasonable to think if it goes good, they might be here 5 years? But I think if you're thinking you're going to hire someone that's going to be here till we're all gone, I don't think it's reasonable. It's just a different environment than it used to be.
I hear what you're saying. I guess I'm old school.
Yeah. Hey,
But yeah, the same thing. I'm old school with that also, but everything that I've read here in the past is most younger individuals will be at a place from 8 to 10 different positions within their career. And I was fortunate I was only with one.
Mhm. I find it interesting that no one that I would consider young we haven't interviewed anyone south of us, hardly.
Mhm.
That was a nice way to put that.
Age-wise.
We only have one way to go with that.
Yeah.
South. Anyway, just looking at the individual's resume, I was impressed. This individual speaks 6 different languages. He has 21 years of experience.
I don't have to try to pronounce his last name, do I?
Yeah, I tried it, but
Well, he's managed large facilities
you know,
with a lot of experience.
I don't have a problem interviewing this guy, okay, at
I
all.
agree with that.
I agree.
I would just like to see more people to interview.
Yeah.
Myself.
so with the board's permission, I will go ahead and set up the interview, try to set it up for September 6th board meeting. If not, I'll go ahead and notify everybody that I'll have to make a special meeting again.
Yeah, because we might lose.
I would like to see this guy. I'm kind of impressed with what he's got on his resume. But
So,
with that, if we go into the September 6th board meeting and do not like any of the interviews or the resumes that we received, I do not have a problem. I have already put in paperwork in anticipation to go to other agencies, but that can be discussed at the September 6th meeting. But all I want to do here is to see if the board would like to interview this individual. I think it would be appropriate since we've gone through what, 4?
Mhm.
3.
Mhm.
Now that was 3rd. Then I
Dwayne,
took care of the 4th. Yes.
you said that you got paperwork in order if we don't make a decision by September 6th.
Mhm.
Is there a cost involved why we're not going ahead and finding out if we maybe get another couple of folks to interview on the 6th
Yes.
lined up?
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to thank all the residents for the constructive criticism on how the board is handling the interviews. We are well aware of the difference between a CAM and a park district park manager. We do know that this is a very important position for the board as well as Trailer Estates Park and Recreational residents. We are doing our damnedest. I don't care if this position is filled by October 1st. I think that was the first goal that we had when we had the town meeting. If everybody will remember the town meeting, there was the majority of the people that did not want the management firms. They were afraid of our employees being shuffled in another type of disaster. But the majority of the people wanted a certified associate manager, park manager. And that's exactly what I went with when we put the advertisement out. There is a cost if we want to go with special districts of $5,000 to $6,000 a year. There was no, a minimal cost for going out and seeing what we actually had for the certified associate managers with ZipRecruiters and a couple others. I think that cost the park $246 for the interviews that we received. Yes, we are looking at it. Yeah, we do know it's an important position, and we'll do our damnedest to get it, get the right person in here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and make the reservation for this individual come in by the 6th. And if I can't, then I'll have a special meeting set up and we'll do the same interview process.
And we'll have to verify or approve of the spending the money to go into another source of.
Yeah, and again, that was just, I think Monday I have to have all my paperwork in. Today's Friday, so I've already submitted it just in case these previous interviews didn't go well, then I want to have another avenue to keep right on going.
You entertain just a general comment about the whole thing?
Yeah.
So I've never interviewed people for jobs before. So this is a new experience on this side of the table for me. And as it goes on, we ask specific questions, but sometimes I wonder if we've considered well enough, what do we really want from this person? Not can they do QuickBooks? Can they do this? But what are we really looking for? We're looking for, it's different than a condo association. They don't have to market. They don't have to do that. We're trying to preserve trailer estates, you know, and it's kind of like it is. I mean, you know, don't interpret that as I don't want to change anything in trailer estates. You have to change to stay the same sometimes. But I feel like I want to hear them tell me more about how they would do it. And I know that's a kind of an open-ended thing, but this is a pretty big change. And then this other thing, it's going to change how the board works. You know, you got, if someone else is going to be handling the code, what Russell and I do, what are we going to do? You know, and we talk about activities. I don't see the park manager handling the activities and stuff. I'm not convinced in some ways we're too focused, in some ways we're not focused enough on what we're expecting from these people.
My response to that is the questions that I ask, I'm looking for an individual who can think on their feet, express their views in a certain way. I know there's going to be a learning curve for anybody. I don't care if it's even with a specialized district person coming in, they're still going to have a learning curve. But I want to know the experience of the person on how they've handled their other situations in their previous jobs, how they improve anything, their communication skills. Have they had to fire an individual?
Yeah.
You know, it's all part of this whole curve that's going to be coming up. So I know a lot of that is going to be HOAs and condos, but even the HOAs have similar, I think they're more strict than what trailer estates is, but the same thing as what Julie just explained. Even with that HOA, she actually went out and did face-to-face instead of just sending letters to the people.
Yes.
That I was looking for to see if that would apply to what we have here at Trailer Estates.
I totally agree with that.
The rest of my questions that I've asked is, what homework have they done where they're coming in here to look for a position that's going to pay $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, whatever we budgeted for. I haven't seen that yet from any one of the individuals that really went in and researched what charter, you know, what's our what's our website look like? Do they know what a special district are? Do they know what the sunshine law is? Like I just heard it this morning. I don't know what it is.
Good enough.
So those are the things that I had specific questions for, just to let them tell me what they have gone out and researched if they really do want this position.
Right.
So I'll shut up.
No, I mean to have a constructive discussion and your points are very well taken on the specific. I agree with
I
that.
don't think we will ever find an individual that will just poof, come right in and answer everybody's
No.
question and be able to take over this job. There's going to
Mhm.
be one hell of a learning curve
Yeah,
for anybody. Look, just take yourself on what you had to learn just to be a board member.
had to learn, still learning.
Well, I've been on
Yeah.
this board for I don't know how many
Yeah.
years, so I'm still learning stuff,
Yep.
but
6 in 1 year.
Points well taken. I agree with your assessment. I go ahead and say it.
Louis,
If they know what the number of the charter is or the statute, doesn't matter to me.
oh, it does to me.
I'm
If
surprised
you-
because I think the information's so readily available. I don't think you have to commit to recite it.
No, but if you haven't even taken the initiative to find out what a park and recreation is, or even how one is created, that tells me something.
I agree with
If you
that.
haven't gone through and looked at what
Mhm.
we even have in the charter to see,
Mhm.
or even driven through the park to see how many homes we have,
Mhm.
what the place looks like, that tells me something.
I agree with that,
You know,
but I could do that and the next day not tell you what the number is. Or maybe I'll tell you what I kind of question that one question. a
yeah,
little bit.
but even in the responses from the other
Yeah.
interviews, you ask those questions, and I'll tell you the remark that I got back from one of the or from the interviewee
Mhm.
is, I looked at that last night on Sunday night, and the interview was Monday morning. Well,
Mhm.
he told me something right there.
Mhm.
He didn't take the time because it's been open for almost 2 months. So
Mhm.
And
what you say and what you don't say to me
It
is,
speaks
Mhm.
volumes.
and you think
Yes, a
about how
lot.
many times you've read the charter.
Yeah.
You might not know the number,
Yeah.
but you know something about the charter, what it represents.
That's true.
And if I can add something, the ability to think on your feet. This position, you're going to be, I mean, being in the office for any length of time and watching TJ and Joyce at the window and dealing with different situations every single time they go out the window, that individual's going to have to think on their feet.
Oh, yeah.
And so the ability just to answer a question in a very specific way tells me an awful lot. Not so much, it's how they go about answering a question.
Mhm.
Because they're going to get thrown into this. They're going to be out there, they're going to be facing like we do.
It-
And that's what I look for,
Mhm.
the ability to, even if you don't know the answer, how do you say you don't know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking for.
And I think that's very true. It's one thing that you talk about what you learn is if someone calls you and says, hey, could you come over and talk to me about something? Don't bother wasting any time wondering what it is they want to talk to you about, because you're going to learn it when they tell you what they want to talk about. That's when you're going to find out what it is. There's no preconceived notion doesn't do any good.
Yeah, it's kind of like people not knowing exactly what the board goes through to do something, or not knowing exactly what the office does. When we
Mhm.
get on the board, which we do have 5 open positions coming up for the
you know,
board.
don't even go.
But
This is just on.
yeah,
the
but I
review of
mean,
interview.
at least you know what goes on in the office. And some of these applicants that we're talking to, they know what's going on in the office. So it's a lot,
Mhm.
it's nice to hear them answer questions,
Mhm.
retaining to what they've done in the office, stuff like that. Because they do a lot more in the office than what an average owner knows is
Mhm.
done. So at least these applicants. And as far as this gentleman right here, we might want to notify him. He'll be like those other 2 that we lost with his qualifications.
Mhm,
That would be a quick grab.
mhm.
So that was September the 6th. We might be asking a lot to hold him.
Well, I'll find out, and if he needs to interview beforehand, then I'll do that. I'll set up a special meeting again, and
Yeah.
if not, we'll go right
See
for
the-
the September 6th.
His resume, does he live in Hollywood, Florida? I mean, that's
Well,
a,
it looks like he lives in Hollywood.
I mean, that's, first
But-
of all, if he's not gonna commit to move up here, it doesn't hardly work.
Well, that's one of the questions you asked during the interview.
Yep.
You know, because there are people that will.
Mhm.
It looks like he's moved around quite a bit from looking at his resume.
Yeah.
So is everybody in agreement that I can call this individual and set up the interview?
Set it up.
Set it up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any, Lori, do you have something?
No, I just said, I was just agreeing that yes, set up the interview.
Okay, Sandy, any comment? No longer on? Okay, with that, I'm going to open it up to public comment, and you can just stand up. I'm sure we can hear you. Unless, Bill, do you want to just give him the mic and we'll.
Yeah, I think the Zoom people won't hear him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I gotta be able to hear him if you want me to do minutes.
Right.
I'm Rod Smith, 6522 Washington Street. I want to apologize to the board and to the residents of Trailer Estates. I said on the group that helped select the interviewees. And I'll tell you, we did the best job we could with what we had. None of them had the requirements that we fully needed, but we felt that it was important that at least we give them a chance to see what it was. And it was probably a good learning experience for the board with what they were looking for. And I completely believe that we really need somebody that has at least trailer park management experience. HOA, condo associations is a completely different ballgame. I've been involved in a condo situations and it's completely different. And I think that if at all possible, we need the district manager that's very familiar with the districts. Now they can learn that and they can also get the education to do that, to have more information about it. I agree with the knowing none of them really did any good research. I mean, the gal today, if she couldn't find it on Trailer Estate, she didn't know with all of her web experience how to get it. Because it is there. There's probably more information than you would ever want to know about Trailer Estate. So thank you, and hopefully we can come up with the right person to do the job we need to do. And we aren't in a hurry to do it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
This doesn't pertain to the manager. I know they're sending out tax bills and this seawall thing is $1,300. How long is this going to go on? Is this a one-time deal or is this 15 years or what?
Well, I'm going to hold the public comments
You sent
strictly
the
for
bill
the.
out. Why haven't not a public comment?
Excuse me. I'm going to hold the public comments here strictly for the reviews. What I would like to have you do is come to the September 6th meeting,
I'm not going to. Be here.
or go ahead and shoot myself an email. But I'm not going to talk about the seawall and stuff in this special meeting.
If you've already got it set up, what's not to talk about?
We have an agenda.
I
to
have an
follow.
agenda, and all I can do is the remarks from the public remarks is to address the subject at hand. I don't want to get into the seawall.
Well, you can't say, hey, we're going to do this 15 years. You've already got it planned.
I just explained that, sir.
And what was your name, sir?
Hi, Ruth Coppins, 6823 Massachusetts. I just want to say thank you for your time and thank you for doing interview number 4, planning to do that. I really feel bad watching all the interviews that you haven't had a qualified candidate. I was appalled that they haven't read the charter. They didn't know what the sunshine law was. I can't imagine going to an interview and being that ill prepared. So keep going. You'll find somebody out there.
Hi, Laura Free, 6619 Connecticut. One of the questions I think you might want to consider asking is if they don't have a certification for a special district manager, would they be willing to take the classes to become a special districts manager.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom that would like to have the public comment? Is there anybody on there?
Yeah, there's 4 people in there.
Jim, do you have anything you'd like? to
No,
make
I
comment on?
agree with, no, I agree very much with the previous comments.
Okay. Nancy's iPod. Oh, iPad, iPod. Sorry. Nancy, do you have any comment? Baker? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the special meeting at 10:30 on the nose. Thank you very much.